Hi, my name is Dr. Sandy Kimbrough, and this is the Intro to Class lecture for HHPK 350, Motor Learning and Control. Before you continue, I suggest that you print the syllabus and have it in your hand or have it on the screen where you can easily access it. My name, like I said, is Dr. Sandy Kimbrough, and my office is in Fieldhouse 215. My email is listed for you on the syllabus as well as my office hours. I highly encourage you, though, to make appointments when you're stopping in if you have a significant question about course material that you think may take some time. That way I'll be able to reserve a time for you and be sure I don't have anyone else scheduled at the same time. So let's take a look at the syllabus. The textbook is listed there. Just a note, you do not need to have online access or a code or anything like that for the textbook, so a used textbook is just fine. The catalog description and course objectives are listed there for you on the syllabus, so I'm not going to take a lot of time to read them, but just in general, this is a class about motor learning and control. Motor learning is a study, if you want to talk about it as a study of what? It's a study of how people learn to perform movements in a more efficient way. We are looking at a relatively permanent change in behavior, movement behavior, due to practice or experience. So we're going to be looking both at the internal changes that go on, which is related to motor control, and then also the changes that we can see, which are motor performance. The expectations in this class are that you will work hard, that you'll learn a lot, that you'll ask questions when you need to ask them. I spend a lot of time preparing and grading, and I think you'll see that in the course as you're going through it. So if you look at page 2 of your syllabus, you'll see how the grading or evaluation in this class works. There are 4 sections, and within each section there are a lot of topics. If you look on page the last page of your syllabus, no, the second to last page of your syllabus, you'll see each section and then all the topics within that section and then the summary of assignments. So you'll see both quizzes, discussions, and assignments within each section. Not every topic has a quiz, a discussion, and an assignment, but some have all 3, some just have 1, and some have 2. So each of the 4 sections are worth 100 points, and then your final exam is also worth 100 points. The final exam is a verbal final exam. It's on the phone. So toward the end of the semester, I will send an email to you that allows you to pick a time and a date that's convenient for you, and I'll call you and we will talk about the class, and I will ask you pretty broad application questions, and that test usually lasts about 25 minutes per person. We will talk about that more later in the semester. In terms of the final course grades, I use a point system, but I've also put it here in percentages for you. So 450 points is the equivalent of 90%. That's an A. 400 points is a B, 350 points is a C, and so on. So if the question is, if I have 449 points, is that an A? Well, no, 449 points is a B. So it's really important that you do your very best on every assignment to make the highest grade possible. So looking at the online system, a couple things. If I use the term Dropbox, and what I really mean is submission folder, that's because that is a term that I've been using for many, many years, so I apologize if I do that. But in general, for the online system, you have signed up for an online course, so that is communicating to me that you are comfortable taking an online course and that you have access to a computer and internet that is fast. So you need to find a computer that is fast and reliable. I understand sometimes the electricity might go out or something like that, but you need to take every step you can to make sure that your computer issues are not going to be a problem within this class. Secondly, I highly suggest that you really look around in the class and figure things out technically long before they're due. Also, look at the due dates. They are on the syllabus for you, and that is the best place to look for due dates. So always refer to the 4 section due dates. Quizzes when you take a quiz, you're only going to have one opportunity to take it, and it will be timed. So you won't just have hours and hours to take a quiz. It'll have a time, it'll have a countdown timer, so you'll know exactly how much time you have left. So please don't start a quiz until you're actually ready to take it. A note about the due dates on the syllabus. So again, each section has a due date. What that means is everything in the section has to be submitted by 11:59 p.m. on the due date, or the end date, however you want to call, whatever you want to call that. If something is not submitted by 11:59 p.m., you'll receive a 0 on it. I don't accept any late work. So be sure that you are not procrastinating. That is probably the #1 reason why people do not do well in this class, is they wait until the last minute to go in and try to do a bunch of the work the day before it's due. And I'm telling you right now, that absolutely does not work. Some of the assignments in Section 2 and 3 and 4 take a lot of time. Some of these assignments in Section 1 as well, but in particular, you're going to be doing a final project that is very involved and that continues through all 4 sections of the class, and it takes some time to do it. So I suggest that you go look at the assignments ahead of time and realize how much time they're going to take. So your assignments, you're going to be using a submission folder. Don't email me your assignments, please, and say, here's my assignment. Put it in the submission folder. And if it is a word processing assignment, which almost all of them are, please use Microsoft Word. What that means is the extension on the file should be .doc or .docx. The way I would like you to name your assignments, so you create an assignment, you create a document in Microsoft Word. Let's say it's the motor development assignment, and your last name is Jenkins. The name of that document should be Jenkins Motor Development. And then it's automatically going to have the extension .doc or .docx because it's a Word document. So please name your documents correctly. And then also, obviously, you need to save them. So whether that's on a flash drive or your laptop, but back it up, make sure that you have all of your assignments and you've kept everything. We already talked about the final exam a little bit, and we will talk about that more as the class continues. In terms of course policies, there's a long list of course policies on the syllabus for you, along with a schedule. But I do want to point out just a couple things, but I want you to read the policies. I want you to check your email on a regular basis. I am not going to email you anything that's not important. So be sure that you're checking your school email. That is the one that I automatically use to communicate with you, and I can't easily switch to a Gmail account or a Yahoo account or anything like that. So please check your school email. I know you get a lot of junk in there, so delete it. But if it's for me, don't delete it because it's not junk. One other thing that I want to point out is when you are typing in an online class, that is the equivalent of speaking in a professional setting. So you need to use correct grammar and spelling and punctuation. You should keep your language G-rated unless you are quoting something and it's relevant to the class. The place where this comes up a lot is in discussions. In discussions, it's easy to become super casual and just type things that really don't make a lot of sense or don't have punctuation. And I'm going to ask you not to do that. I'm going to ask you to be professional and write using complete sentences with correct spelling and grammar. After all, you are earning a college degree, so that should be an expectation that is very reasonable. I do not think an online class is easier than a face-to-face class. I actually think for most people it's more difficult because the responsibility is completely on you to do your work and get things turned in and to ask questions when you have them. So feel free to ask me questions, particularly about course content if there's something that you really don't understand. I've tried to provide a lot of resources for you, but if you really aren't getting something, make an appointment with me. Shoot me an email and we'll get together and talk about it. Lastly, let me mention academic integrity and plagiarism. I am very, very good at finding students who work together as they have nearly identical answers on quizzes, or students who are using answers that students in previous courses have used or assignments that have been used in a previous section of the course. So if that happens, you are not going to be a happy camper So please do your own work. It is okay to study with someone else, but any form of cutting and pasting from any source that is not your own original thoughts, including cutting and pasting something from the internet, is a big no-no. So on a quiz, for example, if a quiz question says, what is memory? Don't Google what is memory, because I can probably tell right when I read it that these are not words that came from your brain, that these are not words that came from the course material that I've provided. Wikipedia is it is never an academic source, so do not use Wikipedia for anything at all. All right, enough about that. So again, the sections, a couple things I want to point out. The lectures are to supplement the text, so you need to be reading the reading assignments that are listed on the syllabus that are available for you in the online learning system, and also reading the text, like I said, and taking notes from both the text and any online lectures, whether they are something that I posted and you hear me talking, or something that I pointed you to on YouTube that's from another source. So I highly suggest that you take notes on everything. The due dates are all on the syllabus, as are the points for every item within each section. Some of the quiz questions are going to auto-grade. So for example, if you have a quiz and every question on it is true, false, or multiple choice, it's going to automatically grade and provide a grade for you. But if half of the questions are essay or short answer, I have to go in and grade them by hand. So don't panic when a quiz like that says you have a 50 when you feel like you did really well. It's just that I haven't had an opportunity to go in and grade it yet. So again, don't panic about that. You don't need to email me unless it's way after the due date and I've missed a question or something like that, but I'm pretty good about getting them graded once the due date arrives. Another thing about quizzes, if it is a fill in the blank and you make a spelling error, email me and politely point out your spelling error. Tell me on which quiz it happened and what your error was, and I will be happy to fix that for you. Please don't let that happen a lot, though, because it just makes a lot of extra work for you and for me to go back and change things. And then in the discussions, think of a discussion as a conversation with your classmates, with a group of people. So if you wait until the end of a discussion, like the last day, for example, and then go in and post 3 times or 5 times or 10 times in the last day or in the last hour, that's even worse. That would be like walking into a classroom where there was a conversation going on that had been going on for an hour, and you walk in the last 5 minutes and you blurt out a bunch of stuff and then you walk out. That's not contributing. That's not helpful to anybody else. So the idea of a discussion is that it's ongoing. It's ongoing from the first day of the section until the last day of the section. So that is part of what I'm looking for. So remember, this is an online course, so I don't see you face to face, which means I don't know what you're thinking. I don't know what's going on in your life. So you need to communicate with me professionally. Email is the best way to get in touch with me initially, and then if we need to meet or talk on the phone or Zoom or Skype or FaceTime or whatever, we can do that. So in terms of timelines, I highly, highly suggest that you space out all your work. So really plan it out ahead so that you have plenty of time to get everything done by the due date. So for this section, if you look on the schedule and then the summary of assignments for section 1, you'll see that the intro to class section has both a quiz and a discussion. So go ahead and go for those, and I will see you in another lecture.